You know, what if you could find a 3,000-year-old message in a bottle? Not some story about ancient kings or forgotten battles, but something raw and, well, deeply human. A map, really, charting a journey from absolute rock bottom to this incredible, unshakable sense of hope. That's what we're digging into today. This isn't just a piece of history. It's a blueprint for resilience that feels like it could have been written this morning.
And this line right here, this is the heart of the whole thing. The central image is a rock of refuge, a strong fortress. Which, you gotta admit, immediately makes you ask a pretty big question. What kind of danger are we talking about that's so overwhelming you don't just need a hand, you need a full-on military fortress to survive it? So, to really feel the emotional punch of this poem, we have to first get our heads around what that central metaphor actually meant to the people hearing it back then. Because, trust me, it's a lot more than just a poetic little phrase. Okay, so think about this for a second. A rock of refuge wasn't just a metaphor for feeling safe, it was a literal place you ran to for survival. We're talking about a cliffside fortress, some high defensible spot you scrambled to when an enemy army was sweeping through your land. It was the only thing standing between you and, well, being captured or killed. So when the speaker is begging for this, they're talking about a genuine life or death situation. So, what exactly is this life or death situation? Well, the poem paints this absolutely brutal picture of a life that is completely under siege. And not just from some enemy on the outside. No, this is a siege on every possible front, physically, emotionally, and socially. First off, the siege is internal. And this isn't just about feeling sad. This is a deep physical decay that's being described. The speaker's eyes are literally failing from crying so much. Their soul and body are just wasting away with grief. The distress has totally consumed them from the inside out. And from that internal decay, the siege just expands outward. It becomes social. The suffering is so intense that it actually repels other people. Can you imagine? Neighbors look at them with contempt, and even their closest friends are terrified. People literally run away when they see them on the street. It's this profound and complete isolation. And all of this leads to this feeling of just total worthlessness. The comparison to broken pottery is just devastating. I mean, in the ancient world, a shattered piece of a clay pot had zero value. It was completely useless, something you just discard and sweep onto the trash heap. And that is exactly how the speaker sees themselves. Forgotten, useless, as if they were already dead. This short, sharp cry, it pretty much sums up the whole experience of the siege. There's no safe direction to look. The speaker hears whispers. They feel the conspiracies and plots closing in from every direction. They are surrounded, totally trapped, with absolutely no way out. This is rock bottom. But it's right here, at the lowest possible point you could imagine, that the entire poem makes this sudden, dramatic turn. The whole thing hinges on a single, deliberate act that changes everything. Just think about that. When you feel that broken, that abandoned, and that threatened, what move is even left on the board? What can you possibly do? This is the move. And did you catch that first word? But. That one word is an act of pure defiance. In the face of all this overwhelming evidence for despair, the speaker makes a conscious choice. This isn't a feeling, it's a declaration. But I trust. It's an intentional pivot away from the crushing circumstances. And this comparison just breaks down that mental shift so perfectly. On one side, you have the cold, hard reality of the siege, distress, terror, being forgotten. But on the other, you have this internal decision, but I trust. The circumstances outside haven't changed one bit, but the speaker's entire orientation to them has. The change, and this is the crucial part, begins from within. And this internal pivot, it completely transforms the poem's emotional landscape. The song of absolute misery suddenly becomes a song of deliverance. Okay, and here is the key to the whole poem's logic. It's so important. The praise, the feeling of love and wonder, it doesn't come after the siege is lifted. It happens during it. The experience of deliverance is happening right in the middle of the crisis, all because that internal fortress of trust has been built. The poem uses these really powerful metaphors of space to describe the change. Earlier, the speaker felt trapped, like they were caught in a net. Now, even though the enemies might literally still be outside the city walls, They feel like their feet have been set in a spacious place. It's this incredible feeling of freedom, of possibility, of just having room to breathe again. And it all comes from that pivot to trust.
And you can just see the results of this pivot keep unfolding. The feeling of being unseen gets replaced with the knowledge that their affliction was seen. That fear of plots and whispers is replaced with a sense of being hidden and protected. The feeling of being unheard is replaced with the absolute certainty that their cry was heard. The very foundations of the siege are being dismantled, not by a change in external reality, but by the power of this new perspective.
And this is where the poem turns outward to us. The author takes their intensely personal journey from being under siege to finding that spacious place and transforms it into a universal message of encouragement. It's no longer just my story. It's an instruction and a promise for anyone else who finds themselves in a similar fight.
And, that really leaves us with a pretty profound question. This 3,000-year-old song suggests that in the middle of our own modern-day sieges, whether that's anxiety, isolation, or just overwhelming pressure, the first move toward freedom isn't a change in our circumstances, but a choice that we make on the inside. So the question for us is, when we're facing our own siege, where do we find our spacious place?